If you think the iPhone 15 Pro and 16 Pro are impressive, the iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max are about to make them look like the warm-up act. Apple is quietly setting the stage for one of the biggest visual upgrades to the iPhone in years. And it all starts with the display, a smaller dynamic island, the first real step toward under-display Face ID and smarter use of every single pixel on the screen. In this video, we're breaking down how Apple is planning to reshape smartphone design with the iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max, why these changes matter in real life, and what they tell us about Apple's long-term vision for a truly seamless all-screen iPhone. Let's start with the big picture. Apple isn't ripping everything up and starting from scratch. Instead, it's doing what it does best, refining, tightening, and pushing its design language forward one thoughtful step at a time. With the iPhone 18 Pro and 18 Pro Max, the focus is on three main goals: shrink the dynamic island and make it less intrusive. Move more of Face ID under the display. Maximize usable screen space without sacrificing reliability or security. On paper, those sound like small tweaks. In your hand, they add up to a phone that feels more modern, more immersive, and a lot closer to Apple's dream of a clean, uninterrupted slab of glass. Now, let's talk about the most obvious change you'll see the moment the screen lights up. The new smaller dynamic island. On the iPhone 18 Pro Max, Apple is expected to shrink the width of the dynamic island by about 35%, from roughly 20.7 millimeters down to 13.5 millimeters. That's not a tiny shave. That is a major cut. What does that actually mean for you? The black pill at the top of your screen becomes noticeably narrower. You get more horizontal space for content, text, and status icons. Videos, games, and apps feel more open and less blocked by the cutout. The dynamic island itself isn't going away. It's still the hub for live activities, background tasks, and real-time information. You'll still use it to follow timers, music playback, navigation, incoming calls, and more. The difference is that now it becomes less of a visual interruption and more of a subtle, integrated part of the interface. This is Apple doing what users have been asking for: keep the functionality, dial back the footprint. Instead of a big, bold shape demanding attention, the dynamic island on the iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max is set to be slimmer, smarter, and more in harmony with the rest of the display. You still get the glanceable info you love, but you gain a cleaner, more cinematic screen in return. The next big leap, arguably the most important one for future iPhones, is partial under-display Face ID. Face ID is one of the pillars of Apple's security system, and Apple isn't going to risk weakening it just for the sake of looks. That's why, for years, the notch and then the dynamic island existed. There are physical components that need space and clear access to your face. With the iPhone 18 Pro Max, Apple is finally moving a key Face ID component under the display: the flood illuminator. Here's what that means. The flood illuminator, which helps project infrared light to map your face, gets hidden beneath the screen. The front of the phone looks cleaner and less cluttered. Apple edges one step closer to that futuristic, fully seamless display everyone has been waiting for. But Apple isn't jumping straight into full under-display Face ID yet. Critical parts like the infrared camera still need to remain visible for now. Why? Because going completely under the display brings a lot of technical challenges. Ensuring enough light gets through the display layers, maintaining accuracy and depth, sensing and facial recognition, keeping Face ID as fast, secure, and reliable as it is today. Apple's approach is deliberate. Move one component at a time, test it thoroughly, and only commit when the technology is genuinely ready for everyday users. So on the iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max, you're seeing what you could call Phase 1 of under-display Face ID. It's not invisible Face ID yet, but it is a huge milestone on the road to that goal. And it has a direct impact on how clean the front of the device looks. Now, let's talk about what all this actually does for your screen space and your day-to-day experience. shrinking the dynamic island by 35%. And moving the flood illuminator under the screen adds up to one big win. More usable display area. For you, that translates into more of your emails, messages, and web pages visible at once. Less obstruction when watching full-screen videos or movies. A more immersive experience when gaming, especially in landscape mode. Cleaner. Status bar layout for icons like time, signal strength, and battery. If you stream a lot of content, read long articles, or game on your phone, this is exactly the kind of upgrade that you feel every single day. Even if you don't constantly think about it. Instead of redesigning the entire phone just for the sake of change, Apple is squeezing every millimeter of value out of the display. The iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max aren't just prettier. They're more efficient with the space you're holding in your hand. This lines up perfectly with Apple's broader design philosophy. Form should always serve function, and every visual change needs to have a real, practical benefit. All this leads to the bigger vision, Apple's long-term push for a truly seamless, edge-to-edge display. The iPhone 18 Pro Max is not the final destination. It's a crucial waypoint. The reduced dynamic island, the under-display flood illuminator, and the more optimized layout all point to one clear endgame. A front surface that is basically all screen, with no visible cutouts, no holes, and no notches. But getting there isn't easy. To reach a fully uninterrupted display, Apple needs to move the entire Face ID system under the screen, potentially hide the front camera beneath the display as well, maintain image quality, brightness, and color accuracy even where sensors live, ensure manufacturing consistency across millions of units. Industry estimates suggest that a completely seamless under-display Face ID and camera solution probably won't arrive until around 2027 or later. That means the iPhone 18 Pro and 18 Pro Max represent the in-between generation, the phones that give you a real taste of that future without compromising what already works. You get a cleaner look, more display area, and a leaner dynamic island while still enjoying the rock-solid Face ID performance iPhones are known for. This is the essence of Apple's iterative innovation strategy. Instead of throwing out everything and debuting a fragile, unproven under-display system, Apple is doing what it's done with the notch, the dynamic island, and other major features. Introduce a new idea, refine it over several generations, quietly shift the hardware and software until the original compromise almost disappears. The iPhone X gave us the notch. The iPhone 14 Pro introduced the dynamic island. The iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max shrink that island and tuck part of Face ID under the screen. The next step? A future iPhone where the display looks completely unbroken. Some people will call the iPhone 18 Pro Max changes incremental. But when you zoom out, you see the bigger pattern. These are meaningful, cumulative upgrades that move Apple closer to its ultimate goal without sacrificing security, performance, or user trust in the process. A smaller dynamic island, partial under-display Face ID, and smarter screen usage aren't flashy gimmicks. They're carefully chosen steps that make your phone feel more advanced, more premium, and more immersive with every generation. So what does all this tell us about the road ahead for Apple and the iPhone lineup? The iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max looks set to be a clear signal that Apple is doubling down on display-first design, making the screen the true star of the show. Subtle but powerful refinements, less visual clutter, more usable space. Future-proof architecture, laying the technical groundwork now for the fully seamless displays coming later. As the 2026 iPhone generation rolls out, you can expect the iPhone 18 Pro Max in particular to stand out as a showcase of where smartphone design is heading. A smaller, more elegant dynamic island. Partial under-display Face ID that keeps your data secure while cleaning up the design. Maximize screen real estate that makes everything from movies to multitasking feel better. These aren't random tweaks. They're a coordinated move toward the next era of iPhone design, where hardware fades into the background and the content on your screen is all that truly stands out. If you're interested in the future of Apple's flagship phones, the iPhone 18 Pro and iPhone 18 Pro Max are the models you'll look back on as the turning point. The generation that took the iPhone from almost all screen to nearly seamless and set the stage for the first truly uninterrupted full front display iPhone still to come.